mainly in terms of ecology and biology of coral reefs. And today I'm going to talk about a little bit about complexity and change in terms of governance. First, I'm going to talk about a little bit of concepts I'm going to use during the presentation. Then I will talk about the complexity and change in terms of resource use and governance. And we'll conclude with some considerations on how we may cope with complexity and change. So first, in this presentation, I use the term governance as the establishment, reaffirmation, or change of institutions to resolve conflicts over environmental resources. Institutions in this presentation is a bit different from what the other speakers have been referring to. Institutions here in these presentations are understood as sets of rules that people develop to guide the use and management of natural resources. So these rules can take the form of legislation, policies, informal and customary norms. So institutions are the rules that determine who has access to our resource, what can be harvested from or dumped into, who enforces the rules, and mainly who participates in decisions about these issues. And to illustrate the talk, I'm going to use examples from the Great Barrier Reef. So in terms of resource use and governance in the GBR, we can divide it in three broadly periods. A pre-European period, when the sea level is stabilized, near-shore environments developed. Resource use was related to hunting, fishing, gathering, trading by Aboriginal people in Torres Strait Islanders. And the management of the environment, its resource, were through the use of customary norms and management, through the customary norms. Then we have a second period that I called exploration and exploitation period. It was when, after Queensland was independent from New South Wales, agriculture, grazing, and mining industries were established. There was exploration of the first commercial fisheries in northern Queensland. And another characteristic is the use of a colonial resource rating strategy, which was basically over-exploiting the resource for maximum yield, which led many of marine resources to depletion. A typical example of these colonial resource rating strategy is the fisheries of pearl shell. Pearl shell was took place between 1880s and 1960s, and was an export industry, mainly for the production of buttons. And it declined in the 1960s. And the third period, the present period, is the management for conservation, where we have environmental awareness, we have the establishment of the park and the authority, we have management for multiple uses and objectives, and we have a large number and diversity of players related to resource use and management. This slide summarizes the three periods in terms of governance. So we moved from the use of customary norms through institutions designed for resource rating to institutions that are expected to resolve environmental conflicts. currently, institutions are also expected to address multiple issues and objectives. And in this slide, we have the main issues and objectives managed by in the GBR context. Contemporary governance features also complex problems. These problems are large and multiple scale. They span from local, regional, national, and global, and vice versa. They have internal and external drivers and relationship. And problems can be symptoms of other problems. In the case of the Great Barrier Reef, for example, the water quality in the lagoon reef, in the reef lagoon, are related to issues of land use in the catchment. So this slide shows, in a broader context, the connections between the drivers and the physical, ecological, and socioeconomic elements. Complex problems also feature a number of formal rules, such as legislation, regulations, policies, programs, and plans. They are excuse me. They are located at different levels of social organizations, local, state, federal, and even international. So far we talked about complexity and change in terms of governance. From now on, I'm going to talk about a few considerations, how we may cope with complexity and change in the context of governance. So the first thing, and the most obvious one, since socio-ecological systems are dynamic and complex, governance needs to acknowledge and address complexity and change. It's very unlikely that only one mode of governance is going to solve complex problems effectively. So we need a mixture of institutional types, government, community, and markets in order to address complex problems. Since complex problems span through multiple scales, governance systems should be redundant and nested. Most institutions, they interact both vertically and horizontally. These interactions can be something that it's more, takes the form of a natural interdependence, where the institutions address similar issues. They are linked in terms of biophysical and socio-ecological terms. Or interaction can be forged by players in order to achieve individual or collective goals. Governance in this context should also promote informal dialogue between players. And the last slide, as social and ecological systems are dynamic, governance should be regarded as a continuing process. Thank you.